Hey garden people, welcome to year 2 of our backyard farm. Even though it's chilly and wet outside, it's an exciting time for farming because it's crop planting time. Today, we'll show you our planning process to get from dreaming of seeds to making a solid crop plan. Let's do this!
Here's an in-depth lesson on how to maximize crop growing in your garden. If you'd like a quick intro to crop planting, check out last year's video here. Okay, I like to start with the fun part first, which is picking the varieties we want to plant. This always motivates me to get my butt moving on crop planting because it's so fun to search through seed catalogs online and dream up what we can plant in the garden. I like to buy my seeds from Renee's Garden Seed Company, Plant Good Seed, Botanical Interests, and High Mowing Organic Seeds. I also like to look through my own seed catalog, which is just seed packets in my closet. Seeds don't last a long time, so it's good to use up what you have first. I don't know about you, but I can get a little carried away with picking out all the varieties. There's just so many cool ones. So I think it's a good idea to really look at your garden space and see what can fit there, because you can always plant one variety this year and save a really cool new variety for next year. While we start solidifying which seed varieties we're going to plant, I'm going to open up a Google Sheets and make a tab for each crop. And this is where we'll write down the season information, the variety, seed count, the price, and some pertinent growing information. We have days to germination, when we should sow these seeds based on our winter climate, the days to maturity for that crop, plant and row spacing, and any extra information that may be helpful to know. This can take a while, but honestly it should, because this is the time that we really get to know the varieties we're planting so that we can be the best growers for these crops. Once we have a list of our seed dreams, I like to go in my front and backyard with a measuring tape to map out my garden space so we really know what we're working with. This not only helps you get true measurements, but you can see what the condition of your soil is, what spaces are sunnier and shadier, and just being in your garden space can ignite new ideas for crop placement and companion planting. I'm gonna go back to my Google Sheets and make a tab for crop spacing. In this sheet, we'll have columns for crops, plant and row spacing in inches, bed length and bed width in feet, total transplants, total seeds, and bed location. As I was walking through the garden, I knew I wanted to plant lettuce in a certain bed, so I'm just going to write down the bed width and bed length, and then if I go to my individual plant tab, I know that lettuce should be spaced 4 inches apart with 8-inch rows. Now let's calculate how many plants will fit in that garden bed. So we're going to do the total transplants equals bed length times 12 to get from feet into inches, divided by the plant spacing, times bed width times 12, divided by the row spacing. What made sense to me was to have the plant spacing correlate to the length of the bed and width correlate to how many rows we can fit in the bed. And to get the total seeds, we're just going to add 25% more seeds than we think we need, because something inevitably happens either with starting plants or when you put them in the ground. So we'll do total transplants times 1.25, which easily adds 25%. So it seems like a complicated process, but all you have to do is type this math in once, and then you can drag it down the cells. Then for the rest of your crops, just type in the plant and row spacing and bed measurements, and the math will be done for you. And for each crop, I want to make sure I'm writing down the bed location. Then we can transfer that to our physical map so we can stay organized. I'm going to make a new tab for planning what crops we want and when we want them. I'm planning on having 7 crops ready to harvest every other week from March to October. So we have the weeks we want to harvest, the crop, the units of crop, the days to maturity for the plant, the start date of the seeds, and the target harvest date. So this is a range from early spring to early fall, so I'm just going to make a quick list of crops that grow well in each of those seasons. Let's also write down every crop we want to grow and the days to maturity for that crop so we have this information available. Okay, let's start with our first week. I'm going to write down 7 crops that I want to harvest in March. Now I'll plug in the days to maturity for these crops, and I know I want to harvest on March 18th, so let's change this column to a date formatted column. And with a quick calculation, we're going to figure out our seed starting date. We can just select our target harvest date minus our days to maturity, boom, we have our seed starting date. So we can just go through the rest of the weeks picking out the 7 crops we want to harvest, and I'll just type in the days to maturity for those crops, the target harvest date, and the math will be done in those columns to figure out the seed starting date. So with some time spent really thinking about your crop varieties, your garden space, and with the help of a little Google Sheets math, you can get a head start on having your whole season's crop plan ready to go so you can start planting.
I hope this helps someone feel a little less stressed about crop planning, and please reach out if you have any questions or suggestions. Thanks for watching.